Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning.
And I'm Trinity French.
And we are your business coaches at Wired to Change.
With the number 2.
Yes, it is. We're here to help you get your business to the level you want it to be so you can enjoy the life of a small business owner.
And what a good life it is. I am feeling the small business owner life today.
Yes, we've had a good couple weeks here generating meetings for new clients, but we've been busting our hump getting out there to these virtual working events.
Yes, we have.
So it can be done. Takes a little bit more work and a little bit more thought to find the right ones, but we're starting to get some traction with new clients.
Yeah, and you have really done a great job of honing in on which groups are giving you the best return on investment. And I think that is where so many people get really snagged up by just feeling like they have to go to everything, and then they're not developing the long-term relationships that happen when you are able to participate repeatedly and you get to develop and get to know people.
Well, thank you. We have talked before, an inch wide and a mile deep. Mm-hmm. Give me 400 people that need our solution rather than 4,000 people that, oh, that sounds cool to do.
Which,
I don't want any part of that.
One of the reasons why this was not evident to Mike and I from the get-go is because we both are strong in woo. And you're probably like, what the hell is woo? Well, woo is one of the 34 strengths that are part of the Clifton Strengths Finder assessment. And we are going to have so much fun today diving into my assessment and Mike's assessment and how we walk our clients through these and how we can use it to better strengthen ourselves as business owners, as professionals, and as people. So,
and I have never, ever taken this test.
You have not. But
and this was 2 days ago. You said you need to take
and
that.
As another testament to both of us, because both of us tend to, we're good at getting stuff done once we knock it out. Like once we're like, okay, I have to do this, we just sit down and knock it out. But both of us will put those things to the back burner and go to a networking event before we would sit down and take a strengths finder assessment.
Yes.
And that is because of the theme that you're working within, and we're going to talk about what themes are too, but your strongest theme is relationship building. So of course you love to be in the relationship building theme, and we're going to talk about that today. So finally, after me asking Mike for, I don't know, months
easily
to take this assessment,
Yep.
You finally took it last night, or no, 2 nights ago. Mm-hmm. And you sent me the results, which I immediately read. So that's how you know I'm really interested in it, because I opened that email and I was like, zoom, printing that off, and I was highlighting it and taking notes, and so excited.
And just so everybody knows, I've got the printout of, 20 pages, duplex, right? So I've got it stapled with no notes. Trinity has hers unstapled or stapled in 3 different batches with highlights everywhere.
Highlights and notes, yes, because I just really, I find, so kudos to Clifton Strengths Finder for creating there are so many personality assessments out there. I do love the DISC profile. It's one that we use frequently. I've done Colby, I've done DISC, I've done Myers-Briggs. I mean, there's probably 5 or 6 others that I've done as well, but those are some of the well-known types of assessments that are out there. And I come back to the Strengths Finder assessment because it does not necessarily tell you that you're it drills down a little bit further beyond you're an introvert or you're an extrovert. It drills down into why you are one of those things and how that relates to you getting work done.
Now, I've done 3 things with regard to today's show. I took the test, I printed the test out for me, and then I emailed it to Trinity. We have not talked about this, and I have not looked at my test other than the strengths, because I have 10 strengths, 5 of which are bolded. Yep. I'm assuming it's for everybody, not just me, that it's 10, maybe not. But that's all I've done. That's all. I've not even read what each means. So this is all new to me.
This is all brand new. So exciting. And that just plays right into your top strengths that you hadn't read this yet. And one of my strengths is learner and input, which means that I love learning new information and I like collecting and gathering information. And which is why when you send me information, I immediately open it and voraciously read it, because I was like, oh, something new I can learn about Mike. Oh, and I will have these memorized and in my coffers now for years to come. So that way I can, and it's going to help us work better together.
Yes.
So one of the primary reasons that within coaching and helping people, if I'm coaching, somebody that wants to hire a new employee, I might have them take their Strengths Finder and then also all their new employees take it, because it helps us to see what type of person they need to fill in the gaps. And that, and with us working together, I actually wrote down where we cross over and where we're different. And the really cool thing is that I thought that we were going to be much more similar than we are, but we're actually vastly different.
You and I above the water are very similar. From the neck up, the way we love people. We love being around people, connecting people, but man, it stops there, because the very last point of me is analytical. And is that one of your top 10s?
Analytical is it is not in my top 10.
Oh, wow.
Analytical for me is...
But my bottom 3 while she's looking up are analytical, deliberative, and discipline. Those are my bottom 3.
Discipline is my number 26.
Yeah, okay.
And for some reason, I can't even find analytical on here. So, but anyways, so a little bit of background about StrengthsFinder before we dig into this is that you can go online and take this assessment. You can, there are different versions of it. You can take one where you just find out what your top 5 are. I like to have people do the assessment. It's $50 where you unlock all 34, because I think that your top 5 are interesting, but when we can see all 34, and the cool thing about this is that everybody has some bit of each of these strengths inside of them. It's just to what extent and where you naturally like to use your gifts. So, and I'm going to read off what Mike's are and then read off what mine are. And then we're going to compare where we're similar and then also talk about where we're different and how we could work better together.
And this took me about 35 minutes. It's real simple to do, because once you get going, you're just answering questions and it's easy to do. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah. And so if you want to find this, go out to the website. You can Google Clifton Strengths Finder or Gallup Strengths Finder. Gallup is the company that creates it. Clifton Strengths is the name of the assessment. And go ahead and take it. It's super fun. Okay. So Mike and I share one of our top 5 strengths. And which is great, because that means that our top strengths are different from each other, so we're able to complement each other. If we had the exact same top 5, we probably would not be very good business partners, because we would be too similar and we would just be competing, especially with what our top strengths are. We would just be competing with each other for who gets the most attention.
All right, so yeah, really.
So Mike's number 1 strength is woo, which is one. So for me, woo is number 4. And people are probably like, what the hell is a woo? Well, these strengths have a specific definition, and I'm going to read the definition for what woo is. So woo is loving the challenge of meeting new people and winning them over and deriving satisfaction from breaking the ice and making a connection with someone. Does that sound like you?
Perfect.
Yes. Me too.
I just want to meet people.
The way that I summarize woo is this is why I loved and hated dating. I love dating because I love meeting new people. It was so fun for me to like sit down with someone for an hour and get to know them and learn about them and find, and that's why I loved recruiting, because I got to meet all these new people all the time. So that was part of the woo that I really enjoyed. The part that I didn't enjoy about the woo is that people tend to like us a lot right out the gate. We're able to create relationships really quickly with people where they trust us. So in dating, and you and Becky got married when you were how old?
I was 25 and she was 20,
so,
almost 27.
So I had quite a few more years in the dating realm than you did, but you probably experienced this with friendships where you find out that people like you a whole lot more than you like them. And the woo can actually work against us because people feel more connected to us than we actually are to them. Mm-hmm. And it is, so, you know, for every strength, there's also its equal and opposite, the thing that it can go too far. And the woo can be almost too magnetic. And you, my dear, your number one is woo. So that's even stronger. And it's crazy because there are not that many people that have woo as their top strength.
Really?
Yes.
Sweet.
So I'm like, this is awesome.
I like this. All right.
So other things that are really cool about woo is that you are cheerful, you're talkative, you love to ask questions, give compliments, and you're fascinated with other people's unique talents and traits. Yes. You probably are not super afraid of initiating conversations with outsiders or newcomers, which you absolutely are not.
No.
And you are able to make conversation very easily, and you probably don't struggle to find the right words to express your thoughts. Because if you're a bumbling idiot, nobody would want to be around you. You're very, very well spoken, and it just, woo is just, I mean,
I will speak my mind, yes.
Yeah. So I am not surprised that is your top strength. So that's Mike's number 1, and that's my number 4. We love the challenge of meeting new people and winning them over.
Yes.
That is like, and again, that's why I loved dating, and that's why I loved recruiting, because I loved meeting somebody new and like a Venus flytrap, just sucking them in. So blind spots that we have to watch out for with woo, because there are definitely blind spots, is that others can view you as shallow and insincere. Because you connect with people quickly, but you also are able to move on quickly.
I don't know as yes, literally to the word yes. Moving on. It's just I want to know the next person as well.
You do.
I just met you, but I see right.
But other people can see that as being insincere or and in social situations, you're really excited to meet that next person, and that other person who's not as strong in woo is just getting heated up to you, and now they're like, oh, wait, but I want more Mike, and you're like, bye, I'm going to go on to the next person. The other thing, and this is what makes us great salespeople, is because we are able to create these relationships, and we're not hurt when somebody kind of pushes us off, because we're just excited to get to the next person, which allows us to rebound so much faster.
Yeah. I never took cold calling personally.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's the woo coming out in you. So we just have to remember, us wooers, that other people need a little bit of time because they might just be getting comfortable, and we don't want to make them feel like we're just passing them off.
That's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Which is why I love these assessments, because with, there's equal and opposite reactions that come with each of these strengths.
Okay.
The other part of woo, and I see this in people frequently that are super extroverted and have woo, but also do not have a very good filter. So woo combined with a lack of personal filter can really hurt you in building relationships. And what I mean is that because we feel like we're developing this trust, we might reveal too much of ourselves too quickly. And and oversharing is a really quick way to push people away, and they feel like, whoa, why did Mike just tell me that?
My family knows my favorite food, my favorite TV show, my favorite band. They know all that, and they're all looking like, I don't know if I don't keep lists. I'm like, I don't keep lists, but that's my favorite. I'll see it, like, oh, that's what, I just do. I like sharing, and I would be more than happy for you if we're watching TV, and who's your favorite band, one of your top 2 or 3 favorite bands?
Right.
Name one?
One of my top bands?
Yeah.
Janis Joplin.
Okay. So if we're watching TV one day and all of a sudden a Janis Joplin snippet or a song came up and you said, oh, I just love her, I would want to know that.
You would.
I would.
Because you, my dear, love communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just part of who you are. And I love it. And I love, like, it's like I can see into your brain now that you've taken this assessment.
And I've told people I'm not a complex guy. I'm just not that deep. You know, now I can hold a secret.
Yes, you can.
That's not a problem. I wear emotions on my sleeve, but if you tell me something and not to tell anybody, I'll keep that to the grave. But you're going to know how I'm feeling just kind of by looking at me. You'll know that. And my mood will be different. If I'm having a quieter day or if my back's bothering me, you'll know it because I won't be as outgoing or as chatty.
Yes.
You'll know real quick.
Well, and what's really interesting about the woo factor is people do notice when we're not on our A game with the woo. And it's like immediate, it's like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Why are you not, it's like they can tell that something is off kilter. And
I get that a lot.
Yep. But part of I think the misconception about extrovert, because so you could have really good woo without being an extrovert. So but it just so happens that we both are extroverts that have woo. But I am a borderline extrovert, which means that I am right on the cusp of extrovert and introvert. Okay. Which most people would never realize because I do have so much woo, which people equate the ability to talk to people with being an extrovert. But really the definition of extrovert is whether or not you're energized by people. And if being around other people makes you feel like, so basically if you want to know if you're an extrovert or an introvert, think about when you go to a party. Do you leave that party feeling like you're on cloud nine and not because you're buzzed, but you're on cloud nine and you want to go continue talking to all these people and you're like, woo, and it made you feel really energized.
Just made 9 new friends.
Yes. Yeah. And you're like all excited. An introvert's going to go to that same party. They're going to have just as much fun, but they're going to be like, I need to go home and be completely by myself and recharge.
Yep.
And I'm right on that borderline between introvert and extrovert. Which is really interesting because I do need recharge time more so than a lot of extroverts that I know.
Now that you know what you know about me with woo, how does that apply as you and I move forward? Because we had a really good conversation the other day about our processes. And what I told you was I'm kind of looking, because you have a very, very successful real estate world job empire that you're doing along with this, and I don't. And that's fine. I have this, right? So it dawned on me a couple weeks ago, it's like I'm more of the operations manager. You and I strategize a lot. And then my job is to get it to 80%. We come back together. We put finishing touches on because your verbiage is better than mine usually when writing. You can pick out colors, which I can't, so for designing something. But that's what I've learned the last couple weeks. So does this play into that conversation?
So it does, because follow through is not in your top. So
it's not even on here.
And it's not in mine either. So when I look at our top strengths, so there's 4 different themes that these play into. So one is relationship building.
Okay.
The second is influencing.
Okay.
The third is executing.
Yep.
And the fourth is strategic thinking.
Yep.
Okay. So you are strongest in relationship building.
Yes.
That's where you shine. That's where most of your strengths lie, is in relationship building.
Yep.
That is not my top. So my top my top 2 are actually strategic thinking and executing.
Okay. Yes. Well, you got to sell a house.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
You have to get it done. And I definitely have I'm going to get it done type attitude. And that is because my number 6 strength is responsibility. which means that people who are talented in responsibility take psychological ownership over what they say they're going to do, and they're committed to being honest and loyal. And we feel really like it's almost like, but it just has to get done, so I'm going to do it.
Wait, you have 6 strengths? I only have 5.
You have 34.
No, I thought you were reading on this.
No, I'm reading on my report looks different than yours because mine's older. That's the older version. Right. So in my top 10 is responsibility and also activator.
I have that at number 6.
Yep. So activator is people that can make things happen by turning thoughts into action, which is why you still can function in the workplace because you're going to get things done. But it's also what makes you really good in sales.
Yep.
Is because you're going to help people take those thoughts and act on them.
Yes, and I get a charge out of that.
And you do. Yep. So it was really interesting to me because I was like, wow, that's great. Because if my number one strength was relationship building and your strength was relationship building, well, then we would have a lot of friends and no money.
Yeah.
Which is where we don't want to be.
Our spouses would not be happy. Yes.
So where I'm the strongest is it's kind of a toss-up between because I only have one of my top 5 is in relationship building, which is individualization. And that's a really interesting strength because I don't know where individualization fell on yours.
20,
right. So for me, where individualization, and people are probably like, what does that even mean? Well, it means that I'm intrigued and really enjoy knowing the unique qualities of each person.
Okay.
And I have a very good gift of figuring out how different people fit together, which is why I was so good at recruiting and people placement, right person, right seat.
Yep.
That's my top strength is being able to talk to people and figure out, like, it's why I'm good at running a team because I can see, like, in every high school project, I was the team leader because I'd be like, you do this, you do this, you do this. And I would be assigning out to everybody what it is that they were good at doing. And then they're all happy and the project gets done and I'm happy. My number 34 strength is consistency, which is the exact opposite of, which makes total sense. But people who are talented in consistency are keenly aware of the need to treat people the same. And I do not treat people the same because I'm like total sales professional. I'm like, if you're busting your ass, you deserve to be rewarded. I don't believe I'm not every kid gets a trophy mindset. I love competition. And I don't think that the world needs to be set up by having, I don't think everyone has to play by the same rules. So that is one of the things that sets you and I apart, because your second theme is positivity, which I find absolutely. So positivity for me, it falls way down on the that's my number 9, but it's your number 2.
Yes.
And this is so evident in how people respond to you, because even when we were getting started when we were getting introduced, and everyone kept saying, Mike Manning, you have to meet this Mike Manning guy. Like, he's the most well-connected. He's awesome. He has all the answers. Like, everybody was like, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? And it's because your ability to combine your woo with your positivity makes you almost like the perfect networker.
Okay.
And it makes sense. Like, you thrive in that zone.
I can find... Let's see, who are we talking to? We had a client this morning, and I think this is the positivity part of it. And we're talking about, and she's getting better at understanding the value she brings to her clients, but she wouldn't stand up in a room and go, hey, look at me, I can do this. And I told her that each week her verbalization gets different and better and more confident, because I wanted her to know that, because I do hear that it's inside of her, and I think she was surprised but appreciated it.
Yeah. The look on her face, because we do our meetings virtually now. So I'm looking at the video screen and watching her, and she just lit up when Mike pointed this out. And I was like, wow, that's so true. It's not something that I would have thought to verbally express to her, which is kind of why people love coaching with both of us, because when one of us is working or asking questions, the other one is able to sit back and really analyze the situation. And we have such a unique perspective when it comes to coaching with people when we do the 2-on-1 coaching.
Yep. But I wanted her to know, because it was important and it was a big deal, that without knowing it, she was getting better and more comfortable, because we talk about this every week with her, that look at what you've done she's got 25 plus years in IT. And that's coming out, and she's starting to get clients because of that. But that wasn't the number one sell to the clients. And she just got more comfortable talking about it. And that just hit me in the head like a 2x4. Like, all right, well, I'm going to tell her. So, but that's what I see.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I have no problem verbalizing that, because she needs to know that.
Yeah. And that actually plays right into your third top strength, which is developer. And developer is the ability to recognize and cultivate potential in others. And I read this and I was like, ding dong, yes, ring the bell. This is like the perfect profile for a business coach.
That I can do, yeah.
And you're able to spot the signs of each small improvement and derive satisfaction from that evidence of progress. And it might not be, and with coaching, the thing is that it's not like somebody comes in and they have this huge epiphany. They have all these little successes that build up, and all of a sudden they look back and we're like, hey, look how far you've come from when you first started. Yeah. And I was reading your profile and I was like, oh my God, this totally makes sense.
I'm glad
Mike.
you understand all this. Yeah. But we do in coaching, you want little tremors that lead to the earthquake. Yes. You don't want the earthquake on meeting 3, because like, well, what else are we going to do? So you want those little tremors, those little bubblings for the volcano. All of a sudden it all comes to top and it blows up and they're like, I got it. And then my drive is the aha moment, whether it's a little like, oh, I was doing that all along, versus finally, I got to the 18th client, which was my whole goal.
Yes.
Either one works with me.
And one of the traits of somebody that is strong in developer is that you are really good at applauding and acknowledging others and not taking the credit for their successes, yep. Which I think is something that I probably struggle with, because I tend to like to win more than the average person. Because for me, developer's 28th on my list of 34.
Wow. Okay.
So I looked at this and I was like, from a coaching standpoint, like if I were going to be placing you into a position as a career counselor, I would say, yes, this strength definitely lends itself to you being an ideal coach. But on the other side of it, what do you think, Mike, that could be some blind spots that could come from this?
From a developer?
Yeah.
Did I give compliments?
That people could think they're insincere.
Oh, because they're paying me, I'm saying that.
Yes.
I'm a yes man.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't think that that's happened yet, but it could definitely happen. The thing that they warn of through the Strengths Finder is they said that people that are strong in the developer talent may become over-invested in somebody else's development and feel personally responsible when they're struggling. So you'd need to watch out for that.
Yeah, I don't. Interesting. Yeah, I can't pull out a specific example, but that's interesting to think about.
Well, I think that some examples I can think of is wanting to give them the answer sometimes instead of letting them find it, because you don't want them to fail, because if they don't come up with the answer or an answer, that's you failing. So I could see where that could be
Yep.
an area to look out for.
Right. And we've had a conversation because we had a coaching session a couple weeks ago and we hung up and you called me afterwards.
I did.
And you were correct. You were and I knew it when we hung up from the meeting that right at the end of the meeting, I gave way too many and the phone rang and was like, yep, I earned that.
Yes.
I earned that phone call. And I knew that, but I'm better for it because we had a coaching session within the last 4 or 5 days, and I was much better at asking questions.
Way better.
Yes. So
And
I'm coachable.
You are coachable. And you're a good coach.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is just, if you guys could see the smile on my face, I'm just like geeking out over here. It's so fun. So where Mike and I differ is, let's go on to your fourth strength is communication.
Yep.
And that is, it comes down to the fact that you love talking. And the reason you love talking so much is because you're really good at it.
Okay.
Like you're an excellent presenter, very well spoken, a great conversationalist.
Becky will differ that I'm a good communicator.
Well, you're good at public communication.
That is correct.
Very good at public communication. I'm not going to dig into your communication with you and Becky because that's a whole other.
I over communicate. So my problem with Becky is she's very literal. And I start conversations in the middle of the thought in my head. So that's the problem she has with me. But I don't know what that means on the Strengths Finder. But anyway, so good.
Well, because that goes back to your strength is in that relationship building and influencing. And that's probably where you need to work a little bit more on the strengths of strategic thinking.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But you do have some top strategic thinking. Your number 13 was learner, which means that you love information. And but other than learner at number 13, you don't have any strategic thinking in your top 10.
No. So real quick, and then we'll get to button this up here.
Yeah.
What does arranger mean? That's number 5 for me.
So arranger. Okay. So arranger is really interesting because you are able to organize things, but you're also really flexible in how you organize. So you can see how all the pieces and resources can be arranged for maximum productivity.
Yes.
But it's not going to stress you out to make changes to that.
No, I cannot organize a room or a trunk, but if you and I take 2 different roads to get to the finish line, that doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
I love that. If that's your strength, love it.
Yeah.
Let's get there.
But the arranger in you is going to want to figure out what's the best route to get there.
Yes.
And if you can coordinate 5 other people to get there in the fastest time, you're probably going to do that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's very likely that when you're working with others, like you would get really annoyed if somebody that you were trying to help ignored you. Which I could see that because you're strength. Because of your strength, you are able to simultaneously handle specific assignments, which I've seen. You're very good at like jumping back and forth between things, which I am not. You're able to work better when you have multiple tasks to perform every day. You're not doing the same thing day in, day out. We know that about you.
Yes.
And you're very able to convince others to participate in things that you're excited about.
Yes. That much I can do.
Which again, when it comes to being a great coach and a great motivator and a great motivational speaker, I just looked at your profile as like spot on. Nice. It makes so much sense.
So CliftonStrength, you did your job correctly.
Yes.
All right. So how does this apply? So we got about 5 or 6 minutes left. So tie this up. What do we need now that you see what we're both good at? Where do we, through the end of the year, what do you and I need to work on for either our strengths or weaknesses?
So what we need to work on is, so you are best utilized in a sales and marketing capacity and being the front man for public speaking and basically being the face of what we do.
Got it.
I can be the face as well, but my strength is in the long-term vision and being able to strategize what this is going to look like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now.
Yep. That makes perfect
and
sense.
making a plan and a path to get there. So where we both are lacking, because believe it or not, people, we are not perfect, but where we're both lacking is in more of the executing side. So my execution skills come down to kind of like being able to make snap decisions and getting things done, but I am not good at consistency, doing the same things over and over. Neither of us are. Just the ability to just really hunker down and like focus on one thing drives me crazy. I like to be doing a bunch of different things, and so do you. So we've talked about it. Eventually, probably one of our goals for next year is going to be to hire an admin that's doing some of the more routine day-to-day stuff for us, like posting, like we're talking about getting a social media manager. We're talking about some of these things that we just both get really bored and don't want to do.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we'll need to delegate and elevate, so that way we're both playing to our top strengths.
Gotcha. Okay.
So where we need you in the business is out networking, meeting people, drawing people in, coaching people, and presenting during seminars.
I just want to talk all day.
I know.
I just want to talk all day.
And in your profile says exactly screams that, which is, and that's why sometimes I get burnt out on networking, because that's not my top strength.
Yep.
My top strength is looking out and seeing the potential and figuring out what the vision is going to look like.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
So then back to the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago is, in the previous episode, we laid out our fourth quarter plans with regard to one-to-one, small group, mastermind, starter kit.
Yes.
So we agree on what we need to do and the timeline we're going to do it in.
Yep.
And then I get it to 80%, and then you come in and close.
Yes.
Okay. That's what these two tests kind of say, right?
So, yes. So it says, so these two tests tell me that the way that we would work together best is, so for me, it would be to come up with the big idea, be able to hand that off to somebody to get it to 80%, and then I tinker with it and perfect it and get it done.
Yep.
You are not the ideal person to be the one that's doing that. We're doing it out of necessity right now, but eventually that will not be your role.
Right.
Because that's not your top strength. Your top strength is not in writing the materials and doing that, more mundane stuff. It's, if we were using you to your best strengths, it would be people facing and making sure that we had you out in the community and being our brand ambassador as much as possible.
Yep. But I do enjoy the writing part. I do enjoy writing a blog or things like that based on a podcast. So I do enjoy the writing, always, because I've done writing in the past and I do enjoy that. But that's a part of communication as well.
It is. Yeah. It is. And that is actually probably plays more to the fact that you are really strong in influencing. And that's part of being an influencer.
Gotcha.
Is being able to articulate to others your ideas and how you express yourself and getting them to follow you.
Can I be a non-musician, non-athlete, non-actor, 59-year-old male influencer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody find me that role. I'll cut you 10%.
Hello.
Right.
Look at like Tony Robbins and all these old white dudes.
Yeah.
God, I probably just offended so many people, and I don't know that.
No matter what CliftonStrength says, that did not offend me at all. So I don't need to take a test to say that. So, but yeah, I guess so.
So this is how we work with people in the business, and you can tell that it gets me super excited to be able to pair people up, figure out where their strengths are, and helping us to figure out where we're going to need to hire and how so for us to grow, we now know what people we need to bring in and what strengths they need to have. Because if we brought in one more person that was strong in relationship building and strategic thinking, we would sink, because we need somebody who is really great at executing and influencing.
We need a virtual assistant that does social media.
Ta-da!
Hey, if you're out there.
Did you learn something today?
Very much so, yes.
Excellent.
I'm somewhat interested in these. I knew you'd love it. And I'm always curious to see the results, but then I'm like, okay. So here's what's going to happen.
Well, that's
folks.
because now if this was a person talking to you, you would probably be really excited.
Very much so, yeah. I'm a scanner. I'm not a reader.
Yeah.
Becky and I have that argument all the time. So here's what's going to happen out of today, folks. Trinity will remember this, and I will have the printout with me to refer to it.
And that is because one of my top strengths, my number 2, is input. Which is people that crave to know more and they love to collect and archive information.
Yeah.
And I do that in my brain. I just collect and archive, collect and archive. Yep.
You could probably, if somebody said, hey, remember that house? It was May of 2019, that one on Meadowbrook Lane. Remember the one that was a split level? And you're right there.
And I'm right there.
You can tell the whole, oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you walked in, it's just nasty the way it went. Oh, yeah. You
Smelled
would be that
like
way.
cat pee and you didn't want to buy it because the subfloor was all soggy. Yeah.
And I would remember the people that we sold it to.
Yes.
That's what I remember. Oh, you remember the guy bought this and the woman, she played, college volleyball at, Fresno State.
Yeah.
That's what
And you would know every detail about her life. Yes, absolutely.
And their snot-nosed kid or their triplets.
Well,
that's what I would remember.
This is the kind of stuff, though, that we love doing with our clients.
Yes.
So if you are out there in listener land and would love to take the assessment and have us analyze you, we'd be more than happy to do that. That is a service that we provide, and we just and we can do that for teams as well. So if you are trying to hire somebody and you're not certain what type of person you need to hire, we would be more than happy to take you through this and help you figure out who that perfect person would be.
Very good. I'm glad you enjoyed this, and I did too. But I knew you'd love this.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew you'd love this, and it's good. But it is good information to know. In all honesty, it's good information to have. So I'll start reading through this and figure out. Okay, that makes sense. Why I act this way around this situation, and try to tweak that to become a stronger member of the team. So yeah.
Yes.
So enjoyed that very much.
Good.
All right. So we'll see everybody next time on our Wired to Change podcast.